When the words Germany and genocide are used in the same sentence, most people's minds exclusively go to the Jewish Holocaust, in which the Nazis systematically killed 6 million European Jews during World War II. A true tragedy of unimaginable proportions that shook the world to its foundations, showing the depravity of man and man's inhumanity to man. But this was not the first time Germany had engaged in such atrocities. In fact, far away in Africa, many decades before the Jewish Holocaust, an African tribe faced a similar fate. Perhaps lessons from the success of this atrocity against the African tribe may have been applied in carrying out the Jewish Holocaust decades later. In an era where Europeans were scrambling for overseas territories in Africa, Germany, being one of the European powers, was not left out in the business of colonization. They owned vast territory in German Southwest Africa, present-day Namibia, and it's in this German colony of Africa that Germany would first mete out such horrendous atrocities to fellow humans. Germany formally colonized German Southwest Africa in 1884. Prior to the colonization, many distinct African tribes, including the Herero, lived in the land under German rule. The indigenous peoples were subjugated and used as slave labor by the Germans, who confiscated their land and cattle. Naturally, this led to growing tensions between the ruling Germans and the African tribes. In January 1904, the Herero population, led by Chief Samuel Herero, carried out a large armed rebellion against the oppressive German colonial rule. The German ruling forces were unprepared for the attack, and approximately 123 German colonial settlers were killed by the Herero. Over the following months, however, the Herero were slowly overwhelmed by the more modern, well-equipped German force under the command of Major Theodor Leutwein. By June 1904, Major Leutwein had cornered the Herero forces at the WaterBerg Plateu and was attempting to negotiate their surrender. The German government in Berlin was frustrated by Leutwein's slow progress in dissipating the uprising, and in May 1904 appointed Lieutenant General Lothar von Trotha as Supreme Commander of German Southwest Africa. Trotha arrived in German Southwest Africa on 11 June, 1904. On the 11th of August, 1904, Trotha abandoned negotiations for surrender and attempted an aggressive encirclement tactic, surrounding the Herero at the Battle of WaterBerg and killing between 3,000 to 5,000 Herero combatants. Yet, despite the brutal tactics of the Germans, most of the Herero managed to escape into the Omaheke Desert. Under Trotha's command, the Schutztruppe ruthlessly pursued the thousands of Herero men, women and children who were attempting to cross the desert to reach the British protectorate of Bechuanaland, modern-day Botswana. Thousands of Herero died from being shot to death, drinking water from poison wells, or from thirst and starvation in the desert. On October 2, 1904, Trotha escalated the violence against the Herero in an order which read, "Within the German borders, every male Herero, armed or unarmed, will be shot to death. I will no longer take in women or children, but will drive them back to their people or have them fired at." These are my words to the Herero people. From the great general of the mighty German Kaiser Katharina von Hammerstein in November 1904, the German government in Berlin overturned General Trotha's inhumane execution order, and instead commanded that the surviving members of the Herero population be incarcerated in concentration camps, such as the Shark Island concentration camp. By this point, however, many thousands of Herero had already been murdered. The remaining Herero who were incarcerated in the concentration camps were subjected to lethal conditions, with a mortality rate of 47 to 74%, and prisoners endured poor hygiene, little food, forced labor and medical experiments. In 1905, the Nama people in the south also rose up against the German rulers and engaged the colonizers in guerrilla warfare for the following 2 years. Any Nama that was caught by the Germans was executed or incarcerated in the same concentration camps as the Herero, with extremely high mortality rates. In total, by the end of the conflict on March 31, 2007, approximately 50,000 to 65,000 Herero and 10,000 Nama had been murdered by the German ruling forces. This atrocity, forgotten in the pages of history, highlights the brutal nature of European colonialism on the continent of Africa. Exploitation of another sort continues today, fueled by capitalism and the desire for cheap, natural resources abundant in Africa to drive Western consumerism and industry. We must learn from the lessons of history to prevent a recurrence of such tragedies. Thanks for watching. For more of such videos from Critical Historian, like, share and subscribe.